Is it doing anything?
No, you sound fine.
Okay, cool. Alright. So, technically we're still on brand for Sunday because this game technically has a robot in it. Has a couple different robots, actually. So yeah, in light of temporarily suspending SD Gundam G Generations, just because the setup that we were doing for it was us all being in the same room, and that's not really feasible in our coronavirus time. We've moved on to other things, which today means this: One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. I am the Krampus.
I'm Shiv. And I'm Bograt.
Yep. So, this is the fourth in the Pirate Warriors series, that Pirate Warriors in turn being a spin-off of the Dynasty Warriors games, also referred to as the Musou games. And in general makes a whole bunch of improvements and upgrades to the whole formula, and still keeps around most of all the cool stuff about it. If you're familiar with One Piece, this takes a very short approach to One Piece and just drops us directly into what Bograt and I consider the first, like, actual really interesting arc of the series.
It kind of skips the whole gathering of the early crew, you know, all the little individual adventures, so it doesn't spend any time forcing you to only have, like, only have Luffy and Zoro for a while, and just kind of goes right into the Alabasta arc, where things kind of really kick off for the series. By the way, Krampus, were you gonna Discord screen share, or were you...
Oh, yes, I'll also Discord screen share. I keep forgetting to do that. Go live. Pirate Warriors 4. Go live. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, so kind of what goes on, there's three really things you get into in this. There is the narrative or dramatic log, which is the actual story of the game. There is the free log, which is playing the dramatic log missions, but you can choose whatever character you want and kind of do whatever. And then there's the treasure log, which is all sort of just its own kind of thing. There are individual missions that are all unique and aren't really tied to the story of One Piece per se.
Yeah, they're just little scenarios and whatnot. There's a total of 46 characters, I want to say, at the start, if you include the pre-order bonuses for unlocking a few characters early.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that, like, realistically, the pre-order bonuses are just early unlocks. They're not actually extra characters yet.
Yeah.
They are literally characters that are game. You just normally have to reach unlock condition. Get
right. So I think
if you're talking playable from the start, it is nowhere near that many. It's like 8.
Yeah, no, playable from the start is 8, but maximum that are in the game right now, once you've unlocked everybody, is, I want to say 46, based on
yeah, it's somewhere in the 40s.
So we're just going to start back from the beginning of the dramatic log for a moment. Partially just to show it off, and also partially so I can try and turn these A's into S's.
So, every Warriors game, every Musou game, kind of does its own thing a little bit. I mean, obviously there's the baseline series, which is very straightforward and, you know, is sort of the most normal mechanically. This game, I think, does some really interesting stuff. Something that's been common to the One Piece Pirate Warriors, but obviously has been developed over the course of the series. The way that characters actually power up in advance, I feel like, is really interesting. In that a lot of other Warriors games have levels that you earn by, you know, going through and fighting with a unit, so on and so forth, and it'll gain levels, and those levels will often improve stats. Well, One Piece Pirate Warriors does have levels for each character as well, but the levels don't actually do anything to your stats. All the levels do is get you materials that are used for improving characters, basically. The way that you actually improve characters through this is what's called a growth map in this one. It's been called a couple different things over the course of it, but it's basically just little kind of sort of sphere gridish things where you can use the quote-unquote coins you earn through playing the game to improve the stats of characters, unlock new moves, unlock skills for them, stuff like that. And one of the things that's actually really interesting about it is, so you do get some stuff from leveling up characters, what's called crew level, but you don't get crew level only on the characters you're playing. You also get crew level on any of the characters you're allied with in missions you do. Which is kind of a nice, cool thing and helps you keep from having to play through the game with 40 different characters a whole bunch to max out everybody's crew level. About the only thing I would argue is a little bit annoying about it is that in addition to those coins you earn, you also have to pay berries, money, to unlock the skill things, and it's like you're already requiring a resource that I have to grind for. Why are you requiring 2 resources I have to grind for in order to increase character?
It wants to be a gacha game. 5 resources to level your characters up.
Well, I mean, it takes multiple coins for a lot of the actual points on the map. It's just a matter of it takes whatever coins it takes for that spot, plus a number of berries based on the level of the spot, which is just, like, ridiculous. And yeah, going into it here, this is just doing a recap of kind of everything leading up to...
Yeah, congratulations, you've just
arc.
skipped through, I want to say, 100 and something episodes in that entire cutscene.
I don't think it's 100. It's close to 100, but I don't think I don't think it takes them 100 to actually get to Alabasta. I'm pretty sure most of East Blue is only about 60 or 70, and then Alabasta is pretty quick after they cross into the...
Anyway, so this is where our actual first, like, gameplay stuff. Most missions in Dramatic Log will lock you into certain characters.
Again, the point is, Free Log lets you do these missions with any of the characters you've unlocked.
Yeah.
Dramatic Log is specifically the ones that were there in story.
So we're actually just going to start with Luffy.
Let's see. I'm taking a look because Crunchyroll actually has the series divided up pretty reasonably.
Yes.
Yeah, Alabasta starts at episode 62 officially.
Real? Okay.
That's when the quote-unquote Alabasta arc starts, but I don't think they make it to Alabasta Red 2. I think it's a bit past that. I think that's when they pick up Vivi.
Yeah, because I think the last thing that happens before that arc, as far as Crunchyroll splits are concerned, is when they meet Laboon.
Basically. Actually, the start of that is Laboon, too.
Also, there's one thing I want to say. The art style from One Piece translates really well to CG for some reason.
So
Partially
93 is when they officially arrive in Alabasta.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just shy of the 100th episode.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a little bit quicker in the manga because there are a handful of filler episodes in the anime you hit before you get there.
Right.
But So another thing that happens a lot with the One Piece Pirate Warriors games is so they follow pretty close to the actual story of One Piece up to whatever's current. So One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 released while they were still in the Dressrosa arc, so it has kind of its own unique ending and how the Dressrosa arc proceeds.
Yeah.
This one obviously goes past that point and goes all the way into Wano, which is the current arc, both the manga and anime. But since that's not done yet, this one just kind of has its own original story that takes place in the Wano arc. There is a very short tutorial mission that actually takes place before where we're starting here that's not actually replayable, which is like an in media res thing taking place when you're facing off against sort of the main bad guy of the Wano arc.
Yeah.
Who spends a whole bunch of time talking about how millennials are ruining the pirate game.
I love that. Both in this game and in actual series, I kind of love that.
Yeah, no, his whole thing is he's just basically pissed off that everybody's talking so big about the worst generation, just being like, "Oh, y'all ain't shit." Like, let me tell you about back in my day, and it's like, shut up.
Also, this is a game that very clearly caters to fans of the game and makes no allowances for if this is your first exposure to One Piece media in general.
Yeah, I mean, like, they gave that incredibly brief recap of what happened prior to this, and that's all you're really going to get background and not really going to fill in a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, that whole scene that just took place there was almost an episode and a half.
Yeah. I want to say that was more like 2 episodes, because I seem to recall that Ace shows up at the end of the second episode when they're dealing with that.
Yeah, something like that, but...
So, this is the growth map that we're talking about. The beginning map is the one that's shared by everybody. And then...
you do have to actually... Everyone has access to the beginning map, but you do have to actually, like, do the spots on the beginning map for each person.
Yes. Like, if I change from Luffy over to, like, Zoro, he's got different nodes on the... Oh, wait, no.
Oh, no. Actually, huh.
Yeah,
I've literally only played as one character so far, because I'm doing nothing.
They actually made a note of that in the beginning, I think. I think I glossed over it. This is something about the beginning, or about the maps being shared between certain people, or certain maps being shared. So,
okay, so it looks like beginning map is actually there's just a flat unlock for all characters, and then each character has its unique map. So every character has their first unique map unlocked at the start, which is the map 2 there, and then every character has a second map unique to them, which is unlocked when you reach crew level 3 or 4 with them, as I recall.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, so you can see down in the bottom right the type of and number of coins you need to spend to get a certain skill, as well as the berry costs that it is. Berries are the currency denomination. They're basically pirate dollars.
You'll also see over next to Luffy's portrait on the left-hand side there are 4 basic stats that they keep track of. There is life, there is stamina, there is attack, and there is defense. And each of these also has a level number. The level numbers don't play into it too much, but are more sort of a general comparative rating. A lot of missions will have a level on them, and the idea is you're recommended to have mostly that level in stats before trying to take on that mission. Although if you're really good at the game, you can do it well under that.
Yeah.
And just as you increase those stats on the growth map, those levels will naturally go up for those stats.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
One of the biggest changes from other Musou games into this one is the special moveset. Things that you
traditionally in a Musou
like,
game, you would have a single Musou move per character, sometimes a second one for some sort of combo Musou or something along those lines. That would be just like you would have a bar that builds up, and when it's full, you can trigger this special move, does a whole ton of damage, and, does something super impressive. You want to talk about how different in this game since you've got it up and you can kind of illustrate?
Oh yeah. So in this game, when you hold the right button on the controller, you get 4 different skills you can use, one for each of the face buttons, and these are customizable. You can go in and change them to anything at all. Like, for example, I'm actually going to swap out the Gum Gum Gal for the Giant Scythe, just because we're going to be fighting more large groups of enemies.
Now, most characters do only start with 4 of these, so you can't really swap them out.
Yes.
But again, these are things that can be unlocked through that growth map.
Yeah, like, for example, on Luffy's map, we went up here to these
Yeah,
icons,
anything you
these
see with
swords.
the crossed sword symbol is extra special move.
Yeah. And these can be a wide number of different things. These can be attacks that charge forward. These can be a powerful special attack while invincible, which is kind of the traditional style of Musou attack. Attacks enemies. that
Everyone
move
has
away.
a boost of some sort, which puts them into what's called burst mode, which gives you insane amounts of damage resistance, just a ton of piercing for enemies that have like armor and stuff like that. You generally move faster, and you get certain benefits based on which type of character you are. In that, again, there are 4 types of characters. There is power, there is speed, there is sky, and I cannot remember what the 4th one is.
Technique.
Technique. Okay. Yeah. And depending on which type of character you are, you get a special boost of some sort when you're doing full force burst.
Yeah. There's also skills you can equip. These are just passive bonuses. Right now I've got increases attack against unconscious enemies, which we'll get into when we actually play. Increases break gauge attack, and increases the power of X button attacks. Although, I'm actually going to swap that out for the Y attack.
That's the thing there as well. You also start off with only a handful of slots for those, and then as you go through the growth map, you can get more slots on each character. So eventually you can have a lot more skills. Some skills take more than 1 slot in order to actually equip.
Okay, so enough jabbering. Let's get into the actual fight. So, attacks are always done with a combination of X and Y, if you've never played a Musou game before. That has not changed. What has changed is now, in the middle of a combo, you can hit the A button, or the jump button, depending on what you got it mapped to, and launch yourself and all the other enemies into the air for aerial attacks. And this can get disgusting if you get the right combos going.
Yeah, and certain characters are just stupidly powerful with aerial attacks.
Yeah, any of the characters who are the sky attack type get inherent bonuses from aerial and can cancel into a second combo.
A lot of speed characters actually tend to be really good with aerials as well. So like Ace over there, for instance, is actually a speed type character and does really gross things to people in the air. Or the one character that I have basically played the entire game because I've been doing Treasure Log, Sabo. Just unkind things to people in air. I mean, he mostly does those unkind things to people on ground or in air or wherever he wants because he hits them with a pipe. But so general purpose-wise, pretty standard for a Musou game. You have a whole bunch of nameless mooks that you kind of wipe out. The maps are divided into areas, and as you wipe out mook units, the control over that area slowly goes down. Once that's emptied out, some sort of defender of that area will show up. You defeat that defender, you claim that area for your monster.
Speaking of which, there's the leader for this one. You can't... Oh,
Or for your
knocked him
side,
in the
rather.
air.
I said monster, I don't know. It's been a long week. But yeah, you'll claim the area. So now you can see up top where it says Desert Town. It's in blue. That means it's our area now. It doesn't mean that there won't be enemies there. It just means that enemies won't spawn in there. They have to come from elsewhere, and we will actually have friendly spawn in. So you'll notice occasionally as stuff happens, the little coin emblem will appear above our character. That means we earned a coin for doing something. Generally, you'll earn copper coins for defeating sort of the lesser named characters, so things like Marine Commander and Leader. Silver coins you will earn for defeating specific named characters, and you will earn specifically the silver coin of that character. You also earn silver coins for the specific characters at the end of the mission of the ones you were allied with.
Yes.
So like for this one, since Ace is around, we'll get Ace silver coin at the end of this mission. The number of silver coins you get at the end is actually dependent upon your rank on the mission. And a lot of missions also have gold coins associated with them, which work a little differently. They're not actually spent, they're just sort of an unlocked gate. Certain things on the growth map require you to have a specific gold coin, but once you have that gold coin, it basically applies for everything that requires that gold coin. It's not like you have to farm for those gold coins, which is good because you can't. Any sort of mission that gives a gold coin, once you have completed it once, you no longer get the gold coin from it, you just get silver coins of another sort. To talk a little bit about the actual level ratings as well, since that did come up a couple times here. Every level you complete, you're given a ranking. These generally rate anywhere from, I think, D is as low as, I don't think it's possible to get lower than a D and still actually complete the level, and all the way up to S. And these are mostly based on primarily two things, which is how long it took you to complete the level and how many enemies you beat up while doing it. And you basically get a letter rating on each of those, and then those letter ratings are combined to give you your average for the whole level.
So yeah, the first time I was through this one, I got an A rating because I took too much time because I was still trying to figure out, how stuff works, things like that. And this time I'm going for an S ranking. I was close to it last time.
Like, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference in this one like it does in, say, Hyrule Warriors, where certain rewards are locked behind S ranking certain missions. But it's still nice to have and gets you some extra coins.
As I recall, there is someone who's locked behind a certain number of S rankings as far as...
I believe Shanks.
Yes.
I believe, as usual, it is Shanks that is locked behind getting, like, I think it's like 50 S ranks or something like that. In these games, Shanks is almost always an unlockable character. He's almost always one of the hardest to unlock. He's almost always broken as all hell.
Yep. So I realized that I know at least Shiv, you don't have a lot of like knowledge of One Piece. You never really got into it.
One Piece is what would happen if Dragon Ball Z were about pirates and the guy who made it was really obsessed with Looney Tunes. That's honestly kind of the best way I can describe it. It's very much a shonen anime. It's very much about constant escalation. Although I will say, in One Piece's case, as opposed to Dragon Ball, where for a lot of Dragon Ball it felt like that escalation was just sort of a vague, like, oh, well, this guy's more powerful, I have to get more powerful, and they never really talk about what being more powerful really means. In One Piece, it's more about the ridiculous shit they figure out to do with the abilities they have.
Yeah, it's literally the shonen battle equivalent of, hey, y'all, watch this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, the new abilities do come up, and they do, develop new skills and stuff as time goes on, but I would really say that, honestly, like, that happens maybe once every 100 to 150 episodes, whereas most of the time it's just like, oh, he just figured out a new way to use this dumb thing he already knew how to do.
Yeah. Like, okay, so to give an example, we take our character that we're playing as now, Luffy. Luffy is, I think by this point, one of the most recognizable anime characters of this generation.
He's pretty high up there.
So, Luffy's big deal is that he ate the Gum Gum fruit, which turned his body into rubber. Now, reasonably, in like a reasonable physics setting, this wouldn't be super powerful, but when your entire world runs on Looney Tunes physics, he can do things like whip his body parts back and forth to get momentum and deal super powerful hits. He's obnoxiously strong, and he can do the Popeye thing where he literally blows up his fist to huge size. And that makes it do more damage because it's a bigger fist. The power-ups he gets throughout the seasons and, like, the mode changes and stuff aren't really him, like, learning new techniques. It's just learning all of the dumb cartoon things he can do with his body.
Yeah, so to explain that too, just because, again, a lot of people aren't necessarily all that familiar, to explain the Gum Gum fruit thing. So the whole thing about One Piece is this world that's all about, it's mostly ocean. The landmass in general is a bunch of islands here and there.
Alabasta being
villages.
a continent is a big deal, because that's like one of the
Yeah.
bigger land masses in the world.
Basically. But there are these things in the world called Devil's Fruit. They're said to be manifestations of the Sea Devil himself. The idea being is that if you eat one of these devil fruits, you gain amazing devilish powers, but in retribution, lose your ability to swim.
Yes.
Like, literally, if you go into water, you sink like a stone and cannot move. And basically, the powers you get, there's a whole bunch of different types of power. Some of them kind of change what your body makes. So, like, again, Luffy is a rubber man.
Yeah.
Smoker, who we started fighting, started off this mission fighting, ate the smoke fruit and literally can turn his body into smoke.
Yes.
Ace possesses the flame fruit and can turn into fire. There are other types that instead give you like control over certain things. There are some that are a little bit more passive, I guess is the best way to put it, in that they don't necessarily let you turn into things, but they're more just kind of a background ability that you possess now, like the smooth fruit.
Yeah, which has the ability to remove friction from things and make things smooth. Or the clear fruit, which allows you to turn things invisible.
And then there are also, well, silly things. There's a whole bunch of animal-based ones, both of like real animals and mythical animals, that give you the powers of those animals, and in some cases, like, you turn into sort of a weird anthropomorphized version of those animals.
Well, it specifically allows you to transform between 3 states. It allows you to transform between your human form with a little bit of animal in it, like a hybrid form that's half and half, and how much of each half gets in there depends on which person you're talking about. And then there's the full animal form. Like, for example, there's a guy who ate the dinosaur fruit. I forget what the name of that one is. But the dinosaur fruit allows you to turn into a T-Rex. And so he's able to, like, turn his body into half man, half T-Rex, or just into a full T-Rex with a giant, like, captain's outfit and domino mask. He is one of my favorite characters, and he gets no love in the series. Drake does show up in this game, though.
Yeah.
We will see him eventually. Now, in addition, it's not just the people who ate devil fruit powers that have superpowers. Anything you are good at can turn into bullshit anime-level powers.
Also, just in general, there is a concept called haki, which is just sort of a energy, and various different forms of this that manifest different things. There's attack haki, which is haki that can be sort of weaponized and used to hurt people. There is armament haki, or armaments, sorry, it's a hard word to say, haki, which is basically used defensively and can basically prevent you from taking harm. And then there is conqueror's haki, which is basically just pure force of will, that you basically exude an aura that will make lesser people fall over and start foaming at the mouth. And even strong people with strong wills feel oppressed and weighed down by people with conqueror's haki.
Yes. Notably, I want to say only 4 people out of the 8 crew members on Luffy's crew have Devil Fruit powers. None of
the majority of his crew do not have Devil Fruit powers. Actually,
Yes.
it is him, Robin, Brook,
and Chopper. Yeah. None of the other people in this cutscene actually have Devil Fruit powers. Nami is just a very good tactician and navigator. Sanji is just an inherently badass martial artist with an unfortunate personality.
Well, there's things to Sanji.
I have not gotten that far. I know there's stuff in the next arc from where I am.
Yeah, there's stuff involving Germa 6 that involves Sanji.
Yeah. But Usopp is just a really good sniper and a fantastic liar.
So you have obviously seen, just from the listing there, those weird Power Rangers looking characters.
Yeah. The
Vinsmoke. So there are Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji. And their sister Reiju. You may note this is 1, 2, 4, and 5. Or sorry, 0, 1, 2, and 4. There is a conspicuously missing Sanji in there. But yeah, for the most part, a lot of Sanji stuff just comes from being trained by a man called Redleg Zeph, who was a amazingly famous pirate who was incredibly strong at kicking the crap out of things.
Yes. Specifically, Sanji uses kicks because, as a cook, he does not want to risk his hands.
Yep.
To the point where him actually using his hands in a fight once was a really big deal. Even if it was against, I want to say, a joke boss? Or...
Kinda, yeah.
It was a man who was so good at making ramen, he could build himself an armor out of ramen noodles.
But let's be real here. Don't underestimate the power of gag characters.
No. Bon Clay was a gag character, and he ends up being one of the best.
I mean, hell, Arale beat Vegeta.
Damn it.
Took too long again. It's fine. So yeah, you can see there, we just got Luffy up to crew level 3, which got us 30 silver Luffy coins. Once we get him up to 4, we'll unlock his second map. The second map for characters, for the most part, doesn't unlock new skills or special moves. It is mostly just really big stat boosts that are unique for that character. Yes, it is also important to note that Devil Fruit abilities are in no way unique to people. Chopper over there, as noted, does have Devil Fruit. He's a reindeer that ate the human fruit.
Yes. There is a character in this anime who is a sword that ate the elephant fruit. Not an elephant that ate the sword fruit.
Well, it could be an elephant that ate the sword fruit. We know who ate the sword fruit. That is the other thing. There is only ever one of a given devil fruit. And once it's eaten by somebody, that devil fruit will not reappear again until that person has died.
Yes. This makes Sanji incredibly upset when he fights the guy with the clear fruit, because he wanted the clear fruit. For the worst reasons. Sanji is the worst. Ah, yes, Crocodile.
So part of the reason why Alabasta is sort of the first significant arc of One Piece, in my opinion, is because it's the first time we actually get a decently threatening villain. Like, prior to it, in each of the sort of character recruitment and introduction mini arcs, the ones that are usually, like, anywhere from 4 to 10 episodes, there will be enemies, but they're not usually actually all that threatening. Now, some of them do reappear later in the series and are way more threatening when they reappear, but for the most part, they're the ones that show up early on, prior to Alabasta, are just kind of they're tough, but you never really doubt that Luffy's going to beat them. Crocodile is actually really intimidating.
Yes.
Like, Crocodile is kind of the first one who really does actually beat Luffy, and there has to be a whole sort of hero's journey shit going on. Luffy has to, like, go, oh, I've fallen, now I need to, like, improve myself in order to succeed. Like, the only one that even got close before this period was Arlong, and Arlong just wasn't really that threatening.
Arlong was vile, and that's why people remember him. He is far more vile than most of the other villains, because we spend more time with him, and because, like, the backstory around what he did is incredibly brutal. But he's not really much more of a threat than, like, the Cat Burglar Man, or well, Buggy's never been a threat, but Buggy is a very special case, and I love his dumb little heart with all my power.
I mean, that's the thing. That's one of the ones I was kind of alluding to when I say when they show up later in the series, they're significantly more threatening. Buggy actually does get a lot more threatening later on. Like, in his initial arc, Buggy's a fucking joke.
Yes.
And even in later, Buggy is still kind of a joke, but, like, he later goes on to show that he was not necessarily being foolish when he talked about being ready to head to the Grand Line.
Well, the other thing that's interesting is, like, he's a joke villain until later they go back and say, oh yeah, by the way, he knows Shanks.
I mean, they reveal that pretty much immediately.
Well, yeah, but, like...
When he mentions the Straw Hat to Luffy in their, like, eating, and Luffy basically says, you know, this is the hat I got from Shanks, and that's when Buggy starts talking shit about Shanks, and, like, talks about, like, he used to be on the crew with Shanks and all that.
Yeah. Oh yes, phone snails. Weird telepathic phone snails.
Mr. Prince, 今どこにいる? そりゃ言えねえな。言えばお前は抵抗すらしやがって。もしもし、レインディナーズの前で妙な男を捕らえました。こりゃいい。見物に行くぞ、ミス・オールサンデー。言い忘れてたが、この部屋はじきに水に沈む。じゃあな、麦わらのルフィ。
Part of the other reasoning, come to think of it, is also because Crocodile is basically really the first villain they come across that has a devil fruit and really uses it intelligently.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of people who just eat a devil fruit and think, ah, now I'm invincible. And they don't realize, like, no, you gotta learn how... You gotta learn how to take this goofy power that it gives you and use it intelligently.
Like, again, using Buggy as an example, Buggy has the Chop Chop fruit, which basically makes his body unable to be cut. Just he can separate it and operate the parts of his body independently. But when they first deal with Buggy, he doesn't really use that all that well. He basically just kind of uses it to throw his hands at people and do a couple interesting moves with it, but doesn't really get inventive with it. Doesn't use it to its fullest ability. Crocodile, on the other hand, Crocodile has the Sand fruit, can turn into sand, and definitely utilizes that to its fullest.
It also helps that he primarily operates out of a desert kingdom, so...
Well, I mean, he specifically came to Alabasta because it's a desert kingdom, and it would be a basis for him to be insanely powerful here.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, the other aspect of Crocodile's power comes from the fact that he's part of what's called the Shichibukai, which are essentially a bunch of government-sanctioned pirates who are given a lot of leeway and extra power by the world government in order to keep other pirates in line.
If you've been watching the subs on like Crunchyroll or something, they're also referred to as the Warlords of the Sea. The 7 Warlords.
Yeah. I think in the translation for this game, they do refer to them as the Shichibukai. I'm not sure, though. That hasn't come up in Treasure Log. They might refer to...
the earlier text boxes had them as Warlords of the Sea.
Okay.
Yeah, because they
would
refer
make sense because it refers to the Yonkai as emperors.
Yeah, it's the 4 emperors.
I mean, it's almost a direct translation. Shichibukai literally is like 7 warlords or 7 generals. And then
it's not like they're
Yonkai
taking liberties.
Yeah. Yonkai is basically 4 emperors or 4 king kind of thing. But yeah, the Shichibukai are, as you might guess, 7 specific pirates who are granted extra powers by the world government and basically granted kind of free leeway to do whatever they want and not have the Navy mess with them. And in return, they basically keep other pirates in line.
Yeah, as long as they're not directly moving against the Navy, they have broad reign to do whatever they want.
So part of the whole reason that Crocodile is kind of fucked up in what he's doing is... So Alabasta specifically is a country that did not really join the world government. Like, they're allied with them, but they're not part of the world government. And what Crocodile has essentially decided to do is take over Alabasta and rule over it, even though it's, you know, an independent nation. Now, what makes this fucked up is that Alabasta can't actually really go to the world government for help with it because he's one of the Shichibukai, which means that he's, as far as the world government's concerned, he's allowed to. So that's why, again, they don't go into it too much in this because they're kind of condensing a lot, but Smoker is really pissed off about that because Smoker is a captain in the Navy and is just like, what the fuck do you mean? A pirate is doing something obviously fucking evil. What do you mean I can't fight him and arrest him?
The sanctioned pirate.
Basically.
Yeah.
Which, just conceptually pisses off Smoker, by the way. He's not actually fond of the concept of the Shichibukai.
No, he is not.
Smoker is very much one of those, even a pirate with a badge is still a pirate, get fucked.
So one side note I wanted to touch on, because I was remembering it, and again, it's a cute thing for people who haven't watched One Piece before. Most of the pirate captains, or not most, but a good chunk of them, are named after and at least partially reference actual pirates. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of historical pirate names that show up in One Piece. Now, the characters that use those names have like nothing to do with the actual historical pirates a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But
like Crocodile is a like giant reference to Captain Hook, but you also get like Edward Teach, who I believe is Blackbeard.
Yes, there's Blackbeard. There's also a pirate, one of the major pirates known as Whitebeard.
Yeah.
There is all kinds.
Francis Drake, Dino Man.
Yeah, Francis Drake is one of them. A lot of the worst generation actual historical pirates. So there's like Cavendish, which was Henry Cavendish. Let's see, what are some of the other ones?
Captain Kidd.
Yeah, there's Captain Kidd.
Eustace Kidd.
Yeah, those don't show other than Crocodile, they don't show up too early in the series, but as you get further on and start getting more of the pirates that are referred to as the worst generation.
Oh, Silver's Rayleigh. Long John Silver.
Yeah, Raleigh, yeah. Silver's Raleigh is actually double referential because it's Long John Silver and Captain Raleigh. Yeah. But yeah, yeah, there's a whole group of pirates called the Worst Generation, which are sort of the pirates coming into the Grand Line around the same time as Luffy and his crew, and a lot of them are references to actual pirates. And at least some of them aren't terrible characters that I hate.
Yeah, they're kind of a mixed bag.
I can't stand Cavendish.
I'm trying to remember who Cavendish even is.
Cavendish is the one who's super appearance obsessed and believes that the rest of the Worst Generation are all stealing his spotlight.
Oh. I don't think he's shown up again. Past the...
He's a very minor character, but he shows up a lot in Treasure Log. Hey, Vesti. Mr. 3...
He's the Wax Wax.
Yeah, he's the Wax fruit. He literally can turn his body to wax and controls wax and can
make things out of wax. And the wax is much stronger than regular wax.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a weird spot where I don't actually remember Alabasta too well because I got way past it, and then I've actually just started re-watching One Piece from the beginning again recently, and I'm not back up to it yet, so...
Yeah.
I just finished the Usopp recruitment arc with Captain Kuro and the Black Cat Pirates.
Yeah. Most of the Alabasta villains you can forget, because only a handful of them ever show up again.
Yeah, it's pretty much Mr. 2 is important. Obviously, Mr. All Sunday is important.
Bon Cray, All Sunday, Crocodile, and Mr. 3.
Yeah.
Mr. 3. None of the other... No, Daz shows up once in the prison. That's it. Daz Bones. Shows up once in the prison. But apart from that, you can forget about the rest.
Yeah, so what we were saying, Vesi, is kind of... It's this thing where Alabasta is where One Piece really starts finding its legs and really gets going. And honestly, with a few rare exceptions, it's basically all up from Alabasta. Like, it just gets better and better. Now, the anime does have some filler that's not great, but even then, it actually has some filler that's decent. But there's not really another bad arc, honestly, after Alabasta. There's some that I feel like drag on a little too long, Skypiea, but...
Hey, good news, this game completely skips Skypiea.
Yeah, no, this game just goes, Skypiea happened.
And then a lot of times in this game, they'll do episodes like this one, which is literally just a giant arena, go fight somebody. In this case, we're fighting Crocodile.
Crocodile. Yeah, so another thing that this game did that the previous One Piece Pirate Warriors games did not do, which was kind of cool and interesting, is it basically added giant enemies. Because as people who are familiar with One Piece may know, there are a lot of characters that are really fucking big. And
like
in previous
12 feet
games,
tall.
yeah, in previous games, it just kind of was like, okay, I mean, they're just a big dude, like whatever. In this one, big characters, and especially big, very powerful characters, actually have unique mechanics to them that you have to deal with.
Spoilers. In game time, you have more than 3 minutes. The S rank for this one is beating him in less than 3.
You'll also note on the map there's a treasure chest over on the side.
That's just food.
Those are usually just healing items.
Yeah, they just give you a healing item in case you need it for whatever you're doing.
And yeah, that's pretty much the same situation I found myself in, where I couldn't really remember much prior to the time skip. So that's why I'm actually watching from the beginning again, just because it's been a long time since I watched, even post-time skip. And I'm just like, you know what? We're all on lockdown. I've got time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through One Piece again. Plus, it was partially getting me hyped up again for this game, since
Yep.
I pre-ordered this game like, God, probably 3 months ago, thereabouts, when it basically first went up for pre-order on Steam. Because for a long time, One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 was the best Warriors game out there. Then Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition happened, and One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 became the second best Warriors game out there. Now One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 has come out, and I've got to be honest, I like it better than Hyrule Warriors Definitive. I think it's the better game. Just like mechanically, the way it flows, the way it feels. And if I'm being real, I give more of a shit about One Piece than I do about Legend of Zelda. So one of the things that was added in this game, you may notice on the active character model of Crocodile, he's got a health bar above him, and then he's got that bar below it, which is purple right now, but is usually silver and kind of goes down, and he's got 2 little shields underneath it. So that is basically any sort of significant character has armor. They will still take damage through that armor, but it's greatly reduced when they have any armor left. And then every time you break that armor bar, one of the shields goes away. And if you get them down to no shields left, they go into sort of a stun mode, which is that skill that Krampus pointed out a while ago about dealing more damage to unconscious enemies. They'll go into a stun mode. They'll have the little, Looney-style stars and golden lines, going around their head. And that means they're unconscious. They'll basically stand still. They won't attack. They won't. And if you have certain skills, you'll do way more damage to them when they're in that state. It is important to note one of the important things about the full burst mode, the special type of special ability that you into the special state, is you will just basically blast damage straight through armor as if it weren't there.
All right.
If you go into full burst mode against somebody that has any sort of armor, it basically, it'll still chip away at that armor, but it basically ignores the normal damage reduction from armor. And yeah, here's basically what I was saying about how Crocodile is really the first real threat. Like, nobody does this before. Nobody really beats Luffy. Like, he'll take a beating here and there. He'll, get knocked out. He'll get knocked around. But nobody, screws him up this bad and, leaves him for dead. And just, continues on. Anytime Luffy's beat prior to this period, he kind of, he's beat for 5-10 minutes and then comes right back.
なぜ戦うの ?D の名を持つあなたたちよ。D？ どうやら無駄な質問みたいね。
Luffy has no idea what you're talking about.
The number of people who have an idea of what she's talking about in that scene can be counted on a hand.
Strictly speaking, I think canonically thus far, there are exactly 2 characters in the entire series that ostensibly know exactly what the Will of D is.
Also, haha, I've achieved my dream. Ass as. Time to not improve any further than this.
Alright, game's over, everyone.
But yeah, on that note, Shiv, to explain. So Luffy's full name is Monkey D. Luffy. There's a number of characters through the series that have the middle initial of D. There's Portgas D. Ace, a few others.
Marshall D. Teach.
Yeah. The whole thing is that there's this whole thing about the Will of D, which still hasn't actually been explained. Oh yeah, it's also Sanji's disadvantage against female enemies.
Sanji cannot harm female characters. Well, Sanji
he can. He
technically
just does significantly reduced
just
damage.
Significantly reduced damage. Shockwave's good around that, though.
Yeah. There's a concept known as the Will of D, because the whole point of One Piece is there was the famous King of Pirates, Gold Roger, who on his execution said that, he left all of his treasure in that place, and whoever can find it can have it. And that set off this whole golden age of pirates and adventuring. And then later on, in part of that little sort of skip we got at the start there, the old lady doctor that taught Chopper how to be a doctor knew Gold Roger, and also knew he doesn't like being called Gold Roger because that's them mispronouncing his name. His name is Gold D. Roger. Now, mind you, even he is not actually the origin of the Will of D. And again, we still have no actual explanation of what the actual Will of D is. We know a lot about the Will of D, but we don't know exactly what it is. But there are essentially 2 characters in the series that know. There is that doctor lady and Whitebeard, because Gold D. Roger did know what the Will of D was, and Gold D. Roger explained it to Whitebeard.
Now, the entire Navy government is up and prepared to do a lot of terrible things to make sure that nobody with the middle initial of D survives.
Part of the reason for that is one of the whole things about Will of D is that it's essentially one of the, quote, legends of the Will of D are the natural enemies of what are called celestial dragons. And the celestial dragons are basically all the noble families of the world government. The implication is that those who bear the middle initial D are in some way destined to fight against and possibly destroy the world government, but even that we don't really know for sure.
Yeah. I love Vivi's serious face there. Just the weird, Popeye clench.
Yeah.
This fight. No money.
Yeah, and that again comes into that thing I mentioned before that I'm kind of annoyed with, in that it requires you to have both berries and coins, and it's like, why though?
So this is Roronoa Zoro. Basically any trope you have ever seen in anime about, like, legendary swordsmen, he can do.
Yes, he uses the 3-sword style.
One in each hand, one in the mouth.
And his goal is to become the greatest swordsman in the world because of tragic backstory reasons.
Yes. His crippling flaws are he's an idiot, and actually that's a crippling flaw for a lot of people.
It's a crippling flaw for most of the Straw Hats, but he's actually one of the least idiotic of them.
Well, his other crippling flaw is he has a mythically bad sense of direction to the point where in a straight hallway with no doors, he got lost.
This is a thing that happened, yes.
A good number of fights that involve Zoro involve 3 episodes of him being at the wrong place for the fight, and then 2 episodes of him actually fighting. And progressively cutting larger and more ridiculous things. There we go.
So kind of the whole thing to it is that when Luffy decided he was going to set off to the Grand Line and gather a pirate crew, he effectively decided he needed people on his crew to fill specific
Yeah, specific roles on the ship.
So he needed a great swordsman, and so he recruited Zoro. He needed a navigator, so he recruited Nami. He needed a marksman, so that's where Usopp comes in. He needs a doctor, so that's where Chopper comes in. So basically every member of his crew fills a specific role, but has hilarious quirk to deal with because of who they are.
He spends most of the pre-time skip looking for his musician.
Yes. Amusingly, it is one of the first things he mentions because he starts off saying that he's going to be the King of Pirates. He's going to head to the Grand Line, and Zoro is the first person he recruits to his crew. So it's just him and Zoro, and they're basically like, "Look, we can't really head to the Grand Line yet. We're barely a crew." And Luffy's exact response at that point is, "You're right. We still need a cook and a musician." Not concerned about anything. At this point, they're in basically a glorified rowboat.
Yes.
Not concerned about anything else. We need a cook and a musician.
They have a rowboat and a sack.
Now this is super early on. This is in the anime. It's maybe episode 4 or 5. The musician is I think the 6th or 7th member of the crew they actually recruit. Some several hundred episodes later. Quite literally, the only reason he even thinks to recruit a ship's doctor is because Nami gets sick.
All right, that's a thing we need.
Yeah.
Also, I love the physics engine in this game. It does not care.
So things just go flying for no reason.
Which is, real accurate to the anime.
So here's Mr. 1, Daz Bone.
He ate the steel fruit.
Yes.
Mr. Bon Clay ate the clone fruit. Mr. Bon Clay doesn't really use his power for fighting. Mr. Bon Clay is just a really good martial artist. Now, in the actual anime, what happened is Sanji gets his fight against Mr. 2, and Zoro goes and fights Mr. 1. But it's far more efficient time-wise in this fight to just go and take care of both of them.
Yeah, again, as with most Warriors game, you're usually better off not leaving things to characters you're not playing. And yes, Sanji is the hook, as we mentioned before.
All right, now we're gonna pretend that we were playing a Sanji for this one. And yes, Bon Clay's style is that he has swan heads on his feet that he uses to poke people. His fantastic Okama kicking legs. I genuinely love Mr. 2. He's like one of the best characters in the series. Even if this makes no sense.
Makes perfect sense. I don't know what you're talking about.
So that's fine. That one doesn't make any sense.
Makes perfect sense.
That's Looney Tunes logic. He didn't realize he'd been kicked until 10 seconds later.
Kicked him in the spiral gland.
A 5-point kick exploding heart technique.
あんたの勝ちよ。殺しなさい。どうせあちしは組織に消される運命。何をグズグズしてんのよ。さっさととどめよ。
Let's be totally real here. Among the things Sanji does that don't make sense, this is like level 1. I will remind you, post time skip, Sanji effectively gains the ability to fly by kicking the air.
Yes, but that was an established power that anyone could learn. Kobe can fly by kicking the air.
Well, yes, it's because Kobe is, if anything, actually a better kicker than Sanji post times somehow.
来なさいよ。誰？あんた誰？
俺の名はサンジ。海の一流コックだ。
Personally, I choose to believe that it's due to association with Garp.
Yeah.
The mere presence of Garp makes anyone near Garp way better.
Garp is the manliest man to ever man, to the point where he doesn't really have any powers apart from he's just really, really strong.
I mean, he has hockey, but...
Well, yeah.
So I don't know how much into this you've actually had a chance to play Krampus. I will let you know. There is a map. Appears to be mostly based on Marineford, which takes just about as long to navigate as Marineford takes to watch.
Christ almighty. Alright, now here's Zoro's actual fight.
Yeah.
They do a good job of actually, like, translating the, like, 3 or so episodes each of these fights take down to their, salient bits.
Yeah. So the big problem with the, like, Marineford, you know, Marine HQ map in this, there's verticality.
Oh boy.
And I don't mean in the sense of, like, oh, you know, there's a cliff over here, you can jump down, kind of thing. I'm talking like there's a stairwell that goes down like 5 floors.
Jesus.
Verticality in Warriors games maps is never a good thing. It just becomes absolutely impossible to actually find your way anywhere. It's important to note, Zoro himself basically says he is complete garbage at the one.
Yeah, he is garbage at one sword style. To the point where, for most of the anime, when he's deprived of multiple swords, he is not so great.
It's generally all he can do to just defend himself if he's down to one sword.
You get back here! Oh. Also, an important note for later in this game. It doesn't come up now, but once you hit the post-time skip and you unlock everybody's post-time skip costumes, their attacks actually change between pre- and post-time skip costumes. So you can go back into this outfit for Zoro and get back all of his earlier attacks, or you can use the newer stuff from the post-time skip. In 3, this was the same case, and in 3 it was actually important for certain characters, because people like Frankie got worse after the time skip.
Yes, Frankie did get significantly worse post-time skip in 3. I don't know if that's the case in this one. I haven't... Again, I've only played Durlog, so my actual character access has been very limited, but... And even then, I've only played as Sabo anyways, so... And in general, I will probably only ever play as Sabo until I unlock Garp. Or Shay. Whichever comes first.
So, I have a problem with this particular mission. So, the entire thing we're doing here is trying to figure out where the assault is coming from, because there's an assault that's going to wipe out the entire town.
Right.
Using a special kind of shell. If you've seen the anime, you know where that attack is coming from. But in-game, you have to go defeat each of the suspicious pirates.
Player knowledge is not character knowledge, Krampus.
Because you've seen the anime knows what happens, doesn't mean the character's playing it.
That being said, now that I know that, I can get a much better clear time on this than I did the last time.
To its credit, you can just leap down the entire link stairway in the Marineford map. I figured that out on my 4th time back down the stairs.
Also, I immediately cry foul that Zoro is able to successfully navigate this city. I suppose I'll have to accept it. The only acceptable way to emulate Zoro's getting lostness would be if you periodically just turned 180 degrees and immediately started running uncontrollably in another direction.
Nope, just randomly shuffle your mini-map.
Now see, Krampus, just explain it yourself. You know where it's going to show up. But because you're playing Zoro, you're lost and can't get to the right place. Keep fighting random enemies when you cross.
Well, I suppose one thing I've gained value from this is now that I know that the beginner map applies to all characters and not just the character you're putting points in on the beginner map, I feel less bad about only playing Sabo, because at least other characters will be decently advanced.
Yeah.
階段を登らなきゃならねえ高いところだぜ
When I eventually get around to actually playing the story mode, I will make a mockery of the story mode, because I feel like I will probably have almost completely filled the beginner map by that point.
急がねえとここが吹っ飛んじゃうんだ早く砲撃手の場所を教えてくれよ
貴様らだって何度も目にしてるそういう
So, since it's topical, let me talk a little bit about my experience, starting back up rewatching One Piece. Beginning. So, I've mostly been watching through VRV, or I think they prefer to be called Verve, which is sort of a subscription amalgamator thing. You pay one subscription fee and you get premium access to a whole bunch of stuff like Crunchyroll and High Dive and all that stuff. It's actually not a bad deal. It's like $10, so it's about the same as you'd pay for like a Crunchyroll premium anyways, but you get a bunch of services. However, as of yesterday, for some reason, you can only watch One Piece subtitled in either Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese.
That's strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I was watching it perfectly fine prior to that, and then I went to watch the next episode, and it was just Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just some like weird thing with like that one episode. So I tried going to the next episode, and it was the same. And then I was like, all right. And then I went back to an episode I had already watched, and it was the same. So then I was like, huh, maybe it's something with my account. So I went and tried a different anime, and it was fine. I could watch things with subtitles.
Huh.
Now, I will say this much. Fortunately, with the way Verve works, you can specifically link your Crunchyroll account to Verve, and it will just effectively give you Crunchyroll Premium on the actual Crunchyroll site. So I'm able to watch it through Crunchyroll, which is also better because for some reason Verve doesn't have the HD remasters of the early seasons, and Crunchyroll does.
I assume Crunchyroll had correct subs.
Yes, Crunchyroll subs are fine. I have no idea why Verve is only available in Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese. That being said, it was a weird moment going back to the start of One Piece and watching it not the HD remastered, and having that realization like, oh my god, this series started in 4:3 aspect ratio. The One Piece anime came out in 1999
何度も見ていたはずなのに盲点だった
and is still going.
砲撃手は間違いなくあの時計台の中にいるわ
It's theoretically supposed to be wrapping up fairly soon. We're in the last, like... So Wano is supposedly going to be, like, the last major arc, and then there's going to be a minor arc after that, according to Oda. And thus far, unlike other mangaka of similar series, the one thing that Oda does seem to have actually been pretty good at sticking to is having a plan for the series and actually going through with it. It's actually one of the kind of remarkable things about One Piece is that there's stuff like you kind of need to remember details from sometimes hundreds of chapters ago because it will come back into play.
Yep. A fun game to play is go back to when Usopp was first introduced. And when he's first introduced, he's telling like a bunch of these tall tales to this girl just to cheer her up.
Yeah.
Go forward in the series past that and see how many of his tall tales actually turn out to be real.
They actually run into.
I think he's hit all but one.
Sounds about right. Yeah, so all those characters that just hit level 4 now have a second character specific map that they can access, do growth on.
Yep.
奇妙というかなんというか。
ええ。
アラバスタのどこかに眠ってるはずの兵器。それを手に入れてこの地に最高の軍事国家を築く。そのために内乱を扇動し、国の乗っ取りを狙った。さあ、読んでみせろ。世界最悪の軍事力。古代兵器プルトンはどこにある？
記されていないわ。ここには歴史しか記されていない。
Also, I am very sad that Miss All Sunday never kept her cowboy aesthetic here.
Yeah.
This is by far my favorite outfit for her.
そうか。残念だ。お前は優秀なパートナーだったが、ここで殺すとしよう。フォーネグリフのある場所へお前を連れて行けば、兵器の情報は俺に譲る。そういう協定だった。しかし、最後にお前は公約を破った。
あなたがそういう行動に出るなら、私にも考えがある。
ワニはどこだ？ぶっ飛ばしてやるぞ、あいつ。あの奥、ワニっぽいな。
He says to the closed door.
That's it. To this wall. There he is.
It's my belief that's a bug with the camera. Like, it's supposed to be pointing into the room, but it just points to a side door for some reason.
Either that, or it's because of an actual level layout thing, where that's probably a door that opens at some point.
But they didn't trigger it to be open properly in the cutscene, so...
Yeah, basically. See, there you go. She lost the cowboy hat there.
Bah.
水をかぶれ、ナイフも刺さるでしょう。
Hey, at least in Pirate Warriors 3, they let you keep the All Sunday outfit as an alternate outfit. At least until you got to the time skip and user pass stuff.
It's possible they have it in this one.
Yeah, it's possible.
The outfit unlocks in this are weird.
Yeah. I have not gotten to a level where I can use Nico yet, so I don't know if she actually gets the All Sunday outfit as a alternate.
All I know is I'm highly amused by the Dynasty Warriors outfits for Boa Hancock and Law. So those question mark ones, by the way, to clarify, typically are ones that are require a specific gold coin, and will become visible once you get the gold coin they require.
Ah, okay.
And at least as far as I've experienced, they are always special. For Sabo, at least, that's what they have all been.
Just...
これからもらう。
俺たちがここに来た時にもうとっくになかったぞ。あいつの
This is actually kind of another thing I think that's pretty unique to the One Piece Pirate Warriors games out of the Musaos, is I can't really think of another Musou that literally has missions that are just one-on-one boss fights like this.
Yeah, even 3 didn't do these. They gave you like a
Yeah,
whole
not really.
Dynasty Warriors level before.
Yeah.
から水が出たぞ。もしかしたら他の柱も。
駆け出しの海賊が勝てる相手じゃねえ。諦めろ。
ビビが国を諦めねえ限り俺も戦うことをやめねえ。
たとえてめえが死んで
死んだ時はそりゃそれだ。
Also, one of the interesting things is that a lot of the main characters and villains have a particular language association with their attacks. Like, if you listen to Crocodile's attack, all of Crocodile's attack names are in Spanish. And, though they don't show it off here, Miss All Sundays are all in French. Sanji's are also in French.
Yeah, well, he's a chef.
Yes.
どこの誰だろうと俺はお前を超えていく。
I will say, I am slightly disappointed. I can understand that why they didn't do it because, you know, modeling reasons. But at no point during this Alabasta arc did we get Luffy with a barrel of water strapped to his back.
No, we did not. God, that's honestly one of the most satisfying parts of the entire arc. Woo.
死闘の末、ルフィはクロコダイルを撃破し、バロックワークスは壊滅。アラバスタの反乱は麦わらの一味とビビの活躍により終結した。束の間の休息と宴に興じるルフィたちだったが、海軍は彼らを捕らえるべく海上封鎖を敢行。ゴーイングメリー号を心配する一味のもとに船は無事だと連絡が入る。その相手は敵として戦ったミスター2ボンクレーだった。
ダチだからよ。
さらにミスター2はビビを待つという一味の友情に心を打たれ、
Also meet a voice actor who the main writer liked so much that they brought him back.
男の道をそれるとも女の道をそれるとも踏み外せぬは人の道。散らばもろとも誠の空に咲かせてみせよう。おーかまうえー。ボンちゃん、俺たちおめえらのこと絶対忘れねえからな。
The grand secret of One Piece. Everyone's face is made of rubber.
Yes, Hunter, you've come right in time to experience the Okama way.
Yes. You've shown up for one of the best characters.
その選択に結論を出したビビはクロコダイルの脅威が去ったアラバスタの国民に向け演説を始める。
少しだけ冒険をしました。それは暗い海を渡る絶望を探す旅でした。暗い嵐の中で一隻の船に会いました。船は私の背中を押してこう言います。お前にはあの光が見えないのか。海に逆らわず、しかし船首はまっすぐに、たとえ逆風だろうとも そして
We're only showing you the parts from this game.
見ろ光があった
What the fuck is a giant's
こ
island?
れを幻と呼ぶけれど
Don't ask questions.
それだけが真実そして
Also, Luffy in his habit of perching like a goblin.
Yep. Luffy pretty much constantly does the Slav squat.
お別れを言いに来たの今なんて私一緒には行けません今まで本当にありがとう冒険はまだしたいけど私はやっぱりこの国を愛してるからだから行けませんそっか私は印なら罰がいいなんで海賊だろ
でもあれ本来相手への死を意味するんだぞ。
いいんだ罰がいいなあビビかっこいいもんな私もそれがいい
何でもいいから書けよ本題はそこじゃねえんだ
It's so weird to see old Usopp.
これでよし私はここに残るけどいつかまた会えたらもう一度仲間と呼んでくれますかいつまでもバカ返事しちゃダメ海軍がビビに気づいてる私たちとビビとの関わりを証拠づけたらビビは罪人になるわこのまま黙って別れましょう
The recusant sigil.
Kingdom Hearts.
The One Piece must be hidden in Kingdom Hearts.
It's called One Piece. Some people refer to it as One Piece, but they are wrong. So that's the end of Alabasta.
Yep.
And then certainly nothing happens between Alabasta and
And
Enies
Ain's
Lobby.
Lobby. Yeah.
Nothing of importance.
Everything was fine. We had punch. It was a lovely time.
Meso すんなそんなに別れたくなきゃ力ずくで連れてくりゃよかったんだ
うわ野蛮人最低
マリモ分かったよ好きなだけ泣いてろ
やっと島を出たみたいねご苦労様
ああの組織の仇討ちか相手になるぞ
敵襲敵襲綺麗なお姉様
あなんだお前じゃねえか生きてたのか
あんたいつからこの船に
モンキー・ディ・ルフィあなた私に何をしたか
おいお前嘘つくな俺は何もしてねえぞ
いいえ耐え難い仕打ちを受けました
意味わかんねえやつだなどうしろってんだよ
私を仲間に入れて崩れゆく総裁殿の中で私はポーネグリフと共に埋もれて死ぬはずだったなのにあなたは私を生かしたそれがあなたの罪私には行くあても帰る場所もないだから
なんだそうか そりゃしょうがねえな。いいぞ。心配すんなって。こいつは悪いやつじゃねえから。
ロビンを仲間に加え
I love the face he makes in that scene. Just like,
ログポースが空を示すという事態に直面する。空にあるという島の伝説を信じて情報を集める中、大型ルーキーと称される海賊ハイエナのベラミーと遭遇する。
oh, Bellamy, life has not been kind to you.
空に島があるって一体いつの時代の人間だよ。いいか、海賊が夢を見る時代はもう終わったんだ。
ベラミーから売られた喧嘩をあえて買わず、嘲笑や暴力に耐えたルフィたちは謎の海賊と出会う。
空島はあるぜ。海賊が夢を見る時代。
Case in point for things you have to remember from a long time ago.
Yeah, so they run into this guy at this point. He doesn't become relevant again for, again, probably a couple hundred chapters.
その後、空島へ向かう手がかりを得た。
Also, despite what they did here, I don't think they actually give his name at this
No,
point
that's
in
the one thing I was
manga
going to bring
anime.
up is Ace never says the name of the pirate he's going after. He just says it's one of his crew members, and that he has to take responsibility by going to find the guy and kill him. They never mention his name until the flashback later. When we find out that that's that pirate.
Alright, Kuzan.
一味は全く歯が立たず、その力の差を思い知らされる。
お前たちはこの先ニコロビンを必ず持て余す。
It's an honestly hard question as to which of the three Grand Vice Admirals are shittiest of them all.
一味を捕らえることなく去っていった。
I'd say Kuzan makes a good run at that.
Kuzan makes a good, compelling argument, but all three of them are shitlords in their own way.
船大工たちからメリー号修理の査定を受けるべく、ルフィたちは造船会社。
Also, Galley Law Company, where that thing about if you're good at something, you get anime good at it comes into play. They have a guy who's good at tying knots in ropes. And by that, I mean he can literally just manifest a rope by tying knots in, or manifest a net by tying knots in ropes really, really fast.
査定の結果は聞いただろう。船の全骨格の土台となる竜骨がひどく損傷している。
There's another guy who's like on par with Zoro for swords play, but he uses saws because he's the guy who saws lumber.
まあ、船の寿命だ。
Then there's Lucci, who's a preternaturally talented douchebag.
Yeah.
いや、乗り換える気はね。俺たちの船はゴーイングメリー号だ。今日だって快適に走ってたんだ。なのに急に後悔できねえなんて信じられるか。
沈むまで乗れば満足か。呆れたもんだ。てめえそれでも一船の船長。話は一旦終わりだな。
43 playable characters.
43, okay.
And the reason I know this is because I was looking up the list, and it is the one downside of them just skipping over Skypiea.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get a Neil.
We don't get a Neil, no.
That's about it, though. Like, I'm fine with them skipping over Skypiea. I still wish that Anil had been included as a character.
Yeah. Ha. Okay, Usopp.
Oh, see, that's the thing, though, Bestie. We're not talking about Fujitora. Fujitora is fine. I got no problems with Zatoichi. We're specifically talking about Kuzan, Aikanu, and Aokiji. Yeah, Aokiji. No, Fujitora is great. I love Fujitora. He's literally fucking Zatoichi.
Oh, you just don't get any other skill ups. That's very distressing. Not until
What's up?
Usopp doesn't get additional skills until far later in his tree.
Yes. Yeah, again, every character's individual trees are different, so the layouts are going to differ based on what characters you're using.
Also, you can move the stick around to look around in the spotlight there.
水が澄んでて街並みも綺麗ね。
歩ける場所もあるんだな。
近くの島では今仮想カーニバルをやっているら
I
しい。
wonder how many members of CP9 are actually going to show up in this one.
参加の準備です。
なんでそんなこと知ってるんだ？
Like, just in this mission or in the game?
In the game, not necessarily as playable characters, but I don't know if they included characters who are not playable but fightable, like they did in Pirate Warriors 3.
Sorry about that. Discord apparently decided to crash and then restart.
Huh, weird.
Last I had was asking you if you meant just in this mission or in the game.
Oh, I was wondering if there were any that were going to show up that weren't playable but still showed up as villains.
As far as I know, there are no characters that show up fightable that, other than the ridiculous Titan villain, that are not playable. I don't think that they have. Actually, no, I take that back, because already just looking at the list of playables, I definitely have fought people playable on here. Not that you can't play as Kaku, but...
You get back here! Usopp is problematic in this game. He starts with almost no skills and no abilities, so you have to buy a lot of stuff into the treasure map to make him viable.
Yeah. I don't know if they're going to show up in that mission specifically, but I can definitely tell that Kaku, Bluno, and Jabra all show up as but are not playable. And then Gucci is the actually playable member of CP9.
That makes sense.
Like, there may be others that show up as well, but I have not run into them. And I kind of imagine I probably would have by now with any of the treasure log missions I've done.
We'll also say the background music in this game is really good.
Oh yeah, no, the music in the One Piece Pirate Warriors games has always been amazing. This one has less ska than previous entries, but...
So Usopp as a character gets a lot of gimmick attacks.
Kind of one of his major flaws of the character in this is he is a ranged character, which doesn't work out too well in a lot of situations. Like, for a lot of it, if you engage characters in melee, if they're one of the characters that's trying to get to somewhere, as soon as you engage them in melee, they will basically stop what they're doing and start trying to fight you off. But since Usopp is a ranged character, he doesn't get to do that, basically.
And there's one of my favorite characters in the whole series.
My major experience with Frankie in the game thus far is he shows up, yells "Super!" once or twice, and then dies horribly.
Also is voiced by the same voice actor who plays Bon Clay. Because Bon Clay had a voice actor that Oda loved so much, they put him into the series. Gave him a more permanent
character. Okay, in all fairness, Hunter, eventually he starts wearing robot pants.
Yeah. Man, don't confine Frankie. Look, he is basically anime pirate super macho man, and he is beautiful for it. It is a crime that he loses the pompadour in his time skip.
I honestly kind of don't like the post-time skip outfit for most of the Straw Hat crew.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
It's only mostly dead, which is a little alive.
That's a terrifying thing to hear from any of the Straw Hats, let alone fucking Luffy. I am gonna crush every bone in your body. Oh, man, he really does not make idle threats, does he? To shreds, you say.
どこへだよ。参ったな。金の行方は本当にわからねえようだ。フランキーってやつを締め上げても買い物された後じゃな。
Won't help his next medal. Except for the back part.
とにかく船に戻るか、ルフィ。
船よ。決めたよ。ゴーイングメリー号とはここで別れよう。船はよ、乗り換えることにしたんだ。ゴーイングメリー号には世話になったけど、この船での後悔はここまでだ。
And yes, Hunter, if I could get away with dressing like Frankie every day, I would, in a heartbeat. No question.
足りなくなったのか。
違うよ、そうじゃねえ。
I would practice that weird pose he does to do the star tattoo thing.
メリー号はもう直せねえんだよ。
お前、一流と言われる船大工たちがもうダメだと言っただけで、今までずっと一緒に海を旅してきた大事な仲間をお前はこんなところで見殺しにする気か。
じゃあお前に判断できんのかよ。お前は船大工じゃねえだろ、ウソップ。
そうだ、それがどうした。絶対に俺は見捨てねえぞ、この船を。
これは俺が決めたことだ。今さらお前が何言ったって意見は変えねえ。
いいかルフィ、誰でもてめえみたいに前ばっかり向いて生きていけるわけじゃねえ。俺は傷ついた仲間を置き去りにこの先の海へなんて進めねえ。
いい加減にしろお前。ルフィ、お前だけが辛いなんて思うなよ。
だったら乗り換えるなんて答えが出るはずがねえ。
じゃあいいさ。そんなに俺のやり方
Yeah, considering it, I think I can safely say the only two post-time skip outfits I actually like more are Usopp's and Brooks.
バカ野郎が。てめえ今何言おうとしたんだ。
I can respect Brooks because he pulls it off well. The hat throws me off for Usopp. His weird beach bum floppy hat.
いいんだルフィ、それがお前の本心だろ。
Alright, everybody, let's not fight in front of the children. Chopper is not emotionally equipped to handle this. He is like 8.
意見が食い違ってまで一緒に旅することねえよ。俺はこの一味をやめる。確かにその船は船長であるお前のもんだ。だから俺と戦え。俺が勝ったらメリー号はもらっていく。モンキー D ルフィー、俺と
Oh, you're serious.
That's basically what everyone said when this actually happened. I was like, Godspeed, you idiot. Also, the sad music they've got in the background here is pretty good. Also, this fight's gonna go a lot better than it did the first time for me, because I don't have garbage skills this time.
Yeah.
部下はいねえことぐらい知ってる。
Usopp, you missed. He's walking right behind you.
'He did not care about your attack. And just walked out.
He did not care about my attack now.
Yeah, a lot of the special moves, you gotta kind of set them up.
Yeah.
Because just because you activated a special move and are doing your animation doesn't mean the enemies stop moving. Particularly enemies with armor, if their armor bar is up, they won't get caught in the like little sort of stun field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be the end of the fight. There we go. Cool, enjoy your broken arm, Usopp. The impact dial is the one thing from Skypiea that actually made it into this game.
Yep. For once, it's a cutscene loss that I don't actually feel about, because there is no planet on which Usopp could beat Luffy.
お前の好きにしろよ。新しい船を手に入れて、この先の海へ俺たちは進む。じゃあな、ウソップ。今まで楽しかった。重い。
それがキャプテンだろう。迷うな。お前がフラフラして
Can't believe Luffy fucking murked
俺たちは
Usopp.
誰を信じればいいんだよ。
That's basically how the fight goes in the actual anime.
Yep.
Usopp does a few tricks, gets a couple of okay hits on Luffy, and then Luffy just fucking lays him out.
Okay, Pete Mary. What, is he gonna use it as his coffin?
Not all of it, like a part of it. I get the feeling you'd have to level up Usopp a lot more to be able to S-rank that one.
Probably.
After killing Usopp and giving him the Going Merry as a funeral gift.
そこへさらに不穏な知らせが一味にもたらされる。チョッパーと行動を共にしていたロビンが行方不明になったのだという。
変なやつに話しかけられていなくなっちまったんだ。ごめんよ。俺が目を離したから。
そんな中、突如として事件が発生。 ウォーターセブン市長アイスバーグが何者かの襲撃を受けたのだ。
アイスバーグさんを襲った犯人の一人はニコ・ロビンだ。お前らの仲間だろうが。
アイスバーグの証言によりロビンは暗殺未遂の容疑をかけられ、一味はガレーラカンパニーの職人。
Those are not the workers from the Galley Law Company. Those are the generic mooks. We just couldn't animate the actual Galley Law
ルフ
workers.
ィたちに子分をやられた怒りに燃え、一味への復讐を企てている。
Ah, Frankie, in one of the many, many ass shots he will get.
さすがは1億の首。
So Frankie, and I'll spoil this because he is one of my favorite backstories in the entirety of the Straw Hats. Frankie is a master shipwright builder, and because it's bullshit anime master shipwright builder, when he got mortally wounded, he built himself a cyborg body. His only weakness is his back, because he did all of the cyborg modifications himself and couldn't reach his back. That is a backstory from this game. Frankie is kind of nuts. Oh, he's... Oh, this is the Ainz Lobby arc.
Yeah, we're in Ennia's Lobby still.
Ainz Lobby, and Ainz Lobby, also known as Water 7, I think is also a name of this arc.
いいえ、私はもうあなたたちのところへは戻らないわ。ここでお別れよ。この町で。
何言い出すんだよロビンちゃん。ああそうか、新聞のことだろ。気にすることねえよ。俺たちは誰一人信じちゃいねえし、濡れ衣なんざ海賊にはよくあることだ。
Fake news!
そうね。あなたたちには言われのない罪をかぶせて悪かったわ。だけど私にとっては偽りのない記事よ。昨夜市長の屋敷に侵入したのは確かに私。
Yeah, I mean, Thriller Bark will be the next thing we get to, because that is technically the arc right after Water 7.
They aren't doing Thriller Bark, as far as I know.
私には
It goes straight from Ainz Lobby to Marineford.
闇はいつかあなたたちを滅ぼすわ。
ロビンちゃん、何言ってんのかわからねえよ。
ロビン、一緒に帰ろう。
Does that make sense? I can't.
Yeah,
Thriller Bark characters I've seen.
They did Thriller Bark in 3, but that's because they were focused on the origin stories for most of the characters. That's why they spent more time pre-post skip pre-time skip than post-time skip. This game, they are spending the bare amount of time in covering like the biggest story beats from pre-time skip, and then they're doing point by point, because we do Fishman Island, then Whole Cake Island, then no, it's Fishman Island, Dressrosa, Whole Cake, and then the original story they wrote for Wano. Brooke is in this game, and God, I'm forgetting his name. I'm terrible with fucking names, and I shouldn't, because he's one of my favorite captains. Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria is either in this game or going to be in this game as DLC. I think he's in this game already.
He's not a playable. I think he's one of the giant bosses.
Mihawk is in this game. I'm almost certain as a playable character. Dracula Mihawk, who is certainly not just Dracula with swords.
Yes, Mihawk is one of the playable. I do not believe Perona is playable in this one. I'm pretty sure she was in 3. Again, keep in mind there are 9 more characters being added as DLC characters that we do not actually have a list of yet. Two that are heavily rumored are Perona and Kuma. Yeah, and actually looking at the playables list, Garp is actually currently a playable either. He will hopefully be added as DLC. I mean, he's absolutely in the game as an enemy you fight. I've fought him a lot. Pretty much any time they're like, you have to fight Marines. Okay, we need a final boss of this. Well, it's gonna be Garp. Law is absolutely one of the playable, and in fact is one of the two that actually has the special
Dynasty Warriors DLC.
Dynasty Warriors costumes you got for pre-ordering. If I recall correctly, I believe he. Oh yeah, it was definitely a very beautiful game. A lot of really good work on the character animations and the attack animations and everything.
That is not how cranes fall apart.
How many cranes have you shot with your robot gun that's smashing between your two cyborg arms?
That's not remotely the point. Blender Man. Hey, Frankie.
So one of the things that I do actually like a lot about this game, like the little details they did in it, is they do actually have, like, so we're in the story mode right now, it's pretty much all kind of scripted of the stuff that gets said, things like that. But when you're actually in Treasure Log and doing the stuff where you can kind of play as any of your own character, there are actually different dialogues for certain characters if they run into them. So like if, so again, mostly a Sabo, and so like when you run into Ace, have like a special dialogue they do. Same thing with Garp. When you defeat any of the Law Hat crew, Sabo has a special thing he says where he's just like, you know, you're one of, you know, Luffy's crew members. Take good care of my brother for me, kind of stuff. It's actually really cool.
A little busy fighting Macho Man Randy Savage here. Or not Macho Man Randy Savage, Super Macho Man. Wrong reference. Frankie Beans. And there you're dead.
ゃんの本心とは思えねえ。もう一度会って話す。
Destroying cranes. Doing things.
I do have to say, with the sort of storyline here, the Straw Hats' actions here make a bit less sense because it's getting to know Robin for like 5 minutes.
We had that adventure in Skypiea that we talked about, that we said we had and never went into detail on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the actual series, they've spent a lot more time with Robin and, you know, developed actual relationships with her. For this, she's been with the group for like 2 missions.
Also, I have kicked people through a wall with Sanji's ultimate before. It is very satisfying to do.
作戦なんて聞いてくれないわよね。私たちだけでも敵の注意を引きましょう。騒ぎを起こせばいいんだな。ロビンのために俺も頑張るぞ。
死んでもここは通さねえぞ。ちょっとトリでポール。トリでポールコートレット。
邪魔すんな。 ロビン、来るなら出てこい。
Kick! Oh. One almost got away.
I don't want to die.
Alright, we open the gates.
Nico Robin、もう一度お前に会いたかった。お前が世界を滅ぼす前に。今世界中でポーネグリフを解読できるのはお前一人。世界で唯一古代兵器を復活させられる存在がお前だ。
なぜあなたがポーネグリフの存在を、それに兵器のことまで。
俺は古代兵器プルトンの設計図を持っている。
Haha, it came back.
奴らに協力しているとは呆れたな。
あなた、私の何を知っているの？世界政府の手で私の人生がどれほど狂わされたか。
それほどキラー政府に、じゃあなぜ加担する？
全てを捨てても叶えたい願いがあるからよ。
願い？お前の願い？
私を除く麦わらの一味の6人が 無事にこの島を出港すること。
そのためなら兵器も呼び起こし、世界がどうなろうと構われってのか。
構わない。
No, because the world's given ample evidence that it does not give a shit about Nico Robin. Nico Robin tied for most tragic backstory.
な、お前ら政府の人間だったのか。
Also, there's just a bull guy here.
そう。我々はサイファー
And no, he has not eaten the bull fruit.
潜伏など造作もない人間。
He just has horns. Don't question it. It's a hairstyle.
リミットを迎えました。話を続けましょう。
Also, this is Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci is a man who is the smuggest asshole in the universe.
思慮深いあなたは自分が殺される可能性を考えて設計図が所有者を失わないよう誰かに託した可能性が高い。ここで興味深い事実がある。かつてこの島にはトムという名の伝説の船大工がいて、兄弟子はあなたで弟弟子はカーティー・フラムという男だ。しかしその男はすでに事故で死んでいる。
Cuddy Flam.
だが弟弟子は生きていた。フランキーと名を変えて設計図を託した相手が唯一の弟弟子なら我々も納得できる。あくまで仮説だったが、あなたのその反応がそれを的中だと告げた。
ロビン、やっと見つけたぞ。
邪魔を。麦わらのルフィ、わざわざ罪をかぶりに来てくれたのか。
お前、船大工のわけわかんねえが、ロビンを返せ。
悪いが我々は急いでいる。ブルーノ、相手をしろ。
Oh.
まだロビンとの話は終わってねえ。なんでこいつらこんなに体硬えんだ。
それが超人的大義6式の力だ。我々 CP9 は皆得得している。
So here's the other powers that we were mentioning. Not the hockey, but the other set of known powers. This is the arc that introduced them. Yep. Beginning to wonder when that power was going to show up. And we're done here.
Oh yeah, you just said you were done here.
Yeah.
我々 CP9 は物心ついた時に政府のために命を使う覚悟と人体の限界を超えるための訓練を受け世界政府の重要任務を任される我々とたかだか一海賊団のお前たちでは我々はこれから重要人物を探さなければならない。猫猫の実モデルレオパルド、島の外まで飛べ。
The power to Make comic panels appear.
フランキーのいやカティフラムの持つ設計図を奪う
I love the way everybody in this series says the name Cutty Flam. Oh.
So in that regard, Vesty, there's a few things going on in that there is Rokushiki, which is the superhuman martial arts that CP9 used. But yes, Blue Note also does have 2 of the 3 forms of hockey. He can use the Busto Shoku, which is the defensive hockey, and he can use the Kenbun Shoku, which is the, like, Sixth Sense hockey.
Alright. That's probably actually where we're gonna...
Yeah, it's a pretty good
Call it.
point to call. Thank you for joining us again for another Sunday afternoon stream. We're going to be on a slightly reduced streaming schedule while things are a bit crazy. Obviously, we're just not going to be doing our Tuesday evening streams. However, we'll still be around doing Saturday as usual, and we'll be around on Sundays. We won't be getting back to G Generation Genesis until this all kind of blows over. But in the meantime, we do more One Piece Pirate Warriors next week. We may do something else. Sundays are kind of a variable day right now. But again, you for joining us, and we hope you again. I've been Straw Hat Bograt.
I'm Jiv.
And I've been Cyborg Krampus.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Have a super day!